On this Ask Katrina, it's the question, hey, Katrina, how do I know that I'm being an executive in the right way? How do I know I've got it right? Now, how many times have we all asked ourselves that question? I know I asked myself that question. I remember in every position that I went into, there were a couple of questions I asked. The first thing was, am I ready? The next one was, are they crazy? I don't think I am ready. Why do they think I'm ready? Right? And then the third question was inherently, okay, I'm going to do this, but am I doing it right? Okay, so if you're asking yourself any combination of those questions, or maybe all of them and more, you're in good company. You're not alone. You're not abnormal. Nothing is wrong with you, right? Those are normal questions. But ultimately, what I found throughout my career, and as I moved through this process and really started serving all executive women and women just like you, the answer to this question is this. There's one really important way. There's a lot of little small ways, but there's one really clear way. And the clear way is look at what you're spending your time on every single day and ask yourself this. Look at your calendar, look at the things that you're doing, and are you being a doer and doing a lot of the work? Or are you being the leader, the thought leader and the people leader? If the majority of your time is being spent doing, performing functional work, okay, with some additional meetings, right? And maybe it's half doing, half leading, you're still being a doer. You're not execing correctly. That's what we call it here at Legend Leaders. You're not execing correctly. Because an executive leads through people and really focuses on thinking and strategy, planning, vision, innovation, all of the things that it takes our brain, our knowledge, our experience, and our judgment, all of those pieces combined, right? Those competencies. It's all of those things combined that we do as executives. And not only do we spend our time doing that, but then we spend a lot of our time teaching people around us why we think the way that we do and influencing them to think and adopt the practices that we want to adopt or buy into the program that we're trying to move forward, right? As well as we're developing the team around us, and specifically the team that supports or reports to us, rather, that we support. We're working diligently to develop them and grow them into being the next level of leaders, right? The next round of leaders that are going to rise up in the organization. So if you're spending a lot of time doing the work, rolling up your sleeves and getting things done, you're probably not executing correctly. And I would tell you 99% of the time, you're not executing correctly. Now, going to sound like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. I promise I'm not. Will there be periods of time in the company that there will be an exception to that? You're going through a big product launch. You're launching a brand new team, right? Or you're closing something down. Typically, when you're doing something new and launching something, or you're closing something down and eliminating something, those are exceptions to the rule, and there may be times that you have to roll up your sleeves and do. Okay? But inherently we acknowledge that those are exceptions. That's fine. But when you look at an average week and you think to yourself, am I doing or am I leading? And you can't look at your calendar and see that at least 3/4 of the time you're leading and you're in conversations and teaching and training your team and going and influencing other leaders in the organization, then you're going to be more of a doer. And you're going to be exhausted. And you're going to be saying to yourself, I wanted this job. This is where I wanted to be. And yet nothing's changed. Like, what am I doing wrong? And inherently, you haven't figured out how to stop being the doer, because you've been the doer. If you've been promoted through the ranks, and this is where it most commonly happens, if you've been promoted and promoted and promoted and promoted, and you finally end up in that role, it takes you longer to stop being a doer, especially if you were promoted very quickly, because we all feel safe being the doer, because then we feel like we're in control. And when it's something new, or we have some imposter syndrome, or we believe that we're not quite sure we should be there yet, then we fall back on what we know to do, which is doing. Okay. So that's the key thing. Look at your schedule. Answer the question for yourself. If you are spending your time being the leader, that's awesome. If you're spending your time being the leader, but you still feel like you don't know what to do, okay, well, let's figure it out. But if you're spending the majority of your time doing, the first step is we got to unwind all of that. We've got to hand that off to the capable team that reports to you, empowering them to do the things that they're there to do so that you can go and do the things that only you can do, right? If you want to work through that in any capacity, if you want to go from doer to leader, if you're a high potential doer right now, that you're not an executive, but you want to figure out how to be a good executive so that by the time you get promoted, which will be even faster if you figure out how to be a good executive, by the time you get there, you're hitting the ground running, right? So if you want to move from being a doer, if you want to be a better leader, or if you're a high potential leader who's going to be promoted to be an executive and want to get a jump on it, let me know. These are all the things that we do. We help you move at a faster pace and really climb that ladder and change your trajectory a little bit faster because there's no need to struggle. The answers are right here. Let's help you go and do the things you need to do in your career because career has to happen financially and emotionally, right? And as part of our identity, we're going to be successful in our careers. But we all know that whenever we have that on lock and we have it under control, that then we feel like we can breathe and we can go and live and do the other things in our lives. So if you're doubting your career in any capacity, if you're being a doer and not a leader, send me a Facebook DM, reach out, send me an email. Let's chat through it. We can jump on a call for 15 minutes. I can quickly have a conversation with you and help you identify where you are in this process. And then we can talk about a strategy, talk about a plan. All right.